I know so much more about the neck of my guitar than I did when I started this. Such a good skill to have in your toolbox to be able to just read something and then be able to perfectly play it.
Katrina and Trevor, so good to see you guys again. It's been quite a while since we've all been sat at the virtual round tables.
Great to see you too. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun getting to know you guys. And Nora, we're like your number one fans over here. Everybody on at Sonora knows that we're doing this, and we're all super excited. So thanks for taking the time and being here with us today. We're all super curious just about your story. Nora, you seem like you've done so much in the 11 years, is it, that you've been here on planet Earth? Much awesome stuff. So tell me a little bit about like how it all started for you. How old were you when you were drawn to music and making music and writing music?
My mom was always telling me that I've been singing since I could talk. She tells me all the time that when I was little, I would just be in the other room making up this song for hours. I would barely even know what I was saying anymore. I would just sing random stuff on the spot. But yeah, I was singing a lot when I was little. And then when this guy came, he put an instrument in my hand at 8, and I absolutely did not like it.
But I must say, Trevor taught her like a little riff on a banjo lately. I think that was even before
Oh yeah, that was when I was 7.
before the ukulele. And he just wanted to show her like a few chords. And she sat on the couch in my office and she just sat there and did those chords over and over until she got it. She was sat there for a really long time. And that was the first time that I was like, wow, this is like some dedication. So that was like the first spark. And after we saw that and saw that she was really actually interested in it and like a very determined little girl.
So you started singing. It sounds like you started singing before you started talking almost. Is that right?
Everybody like asked me to sing for them, and I'm like, okay. And I loved it.
We'd get together for like family get-togethers, and everyone always like convince her to play some songs for him and stuff like that, and maybe like throw dollar bills at her. She was awesome.
Awesome. So when you started playing the ukulele, it doesn't sound like you were too big of a fan of it at the time. What was the turning point?
I feel like in the beginning, I rebelled against it. I did not want to practice. I did not want to put in the work and dedication because I'm like, I just want to go watch TV and play outside. I went to a summer camp, and it's called the Music Compound. And I just loved it. Obviously, after that, it took a little bit of convincing to get me to actually really start learning the ukulele. But once I did, I played that for about a year, maybe a half a year. And then I always said the guitar was way too big for me. And then Trevor put it in my hand, and the same thing with the 2 chords. And I did those chords over and over.
Sure.
And then I started learning the guitar, and I loved it.
And she always had a full-size guitar. We never really, Trevor's a musician, we have full-size guitars around, so it was an awkward adjustment trying to get her fingers around like a full-size guitar.
I was making up songs like all the time when I was like 4 years old. And then when my mom was pregnant with my brother, I worked on this song for him, and I started songwriting with that. And then it was pretty bad, like anxiety for a couple of years, still a little bit, but that gives me a topic to write about. But my parents always told me to journal, and they told me to songwrite. And so that's like where my spark of songwriting was, because when I wrote my first song, Mountains to Climb, I put emotion into it and I put work into it, and it really helped me cope with my own anxiety.
And then Trevor was actually playing a gig not too far from there around the same time. Maybe it was even coinciding. And Nora, he had a break and he was like, Nora, you want to go up on stage and do your song that you just learned at the music compound? And it was an amazing moment that I'll never forget.
There were so many people there.
There was like hundreds.
And I didn't even know what went through my little head, but I was like, yeah, sure, no hesitation at all. And I went up there on this giant stage, and I played for like hundreds and hundreds of people.
And the best part about it was she played 2 songs. The first one she got up there, of course, my mom heart was like so nervous. And she played the song and she played it out of tune. And I was just like, oh gosh, I hope this is gonna go good. I hope this didn't just ruin her
Yeah, she
forever.
couldn't hear pitch vocally.
Yeah, and she got off and I was so curious what was gonna happen. And she said, I didn't know that. And she just knew it. And then she said, I was expecting her to be in tears. And she said, can I try again? And that was when I was like, oh my gosh, she's got something. And so his next break, she got back up there and she nailed the next one. And that was just a big opportunity. And she was like 8 or 9 at the time. So that was a big deal to get up there and have that courage. And you could just see her like glow up there.
Yeah. So do you feel like that moment was that kind of this is something I really want to, I could see myself doing this, being on stage more and like really bought into the whole idea of just performing more?
Honestly, I feel like there was like these big spark moments, but it wasn't like, okay, I'm not into this, I'm not into this big spark, and then I'm just like all for it for the rest of the time. I feel like it took a lot of big sparks, and it took a lot of convincing for me.
Gotcha.
I realize sometimes why there's not that many young musicians, because you're teaching them habits of practicing and things like that. And it's not always, they don't always want to do it. So it's a team effort. You're not only building like musical skills, you're building like dedication towards something that you want to get better
Every
at.
day, every single day, you're like building good habits.
Okay. And then tell me, like, after that event with Trevor's band, like on stage there, like what happened after that? Walk me through what happened from there until you got your guitar.
I was like writing a little bit. I was journaling.
There's a lot of things I feel like came in waves. Like she'd play a lot of music, certain take a week off, and then sometimes she'll write 2 or 3 songs and write a song.
I feel like it's on and off for me. I'm like, yeah, I'm super about music, and then I'm like, I'm staying in bed. I'm reading my book. I'm not picking up my guitar.
Kind of find her own path and her own, it's a balance between trying to build good like self-discipline.
I
let her
break
do
this
what
summer because I felt like I was doing too many like shows, and all I was getting to practice was like the songs for my shows. I never got to practice anything else.
How often were you performing? Like how many shows were you doing?
I was doing like a couple, maybe like 3.
1 or 2 a month, and then
Wow.
we had busy, like it gets busy in the fall.
So basically, just because, I mean, she had a unique opportunity because of Trevor playing music around town. And so, you know, he always has his breaks. And so if Nora's there, they're like, hey, stage is yours for 10 minutes if you want it. And more times than not, she's popping up there and it's a good way to practice. And she mentioned a little bit about like dealing with some anxiety. And that's really like what the most beautiful part of music has been for us, at least, is just watching her watching that change her life really and become like such a coping mechanism for her. And it's been like a really beautiful watching.
Awesome. Do you feel like what is the biggest part of that? Is it the process of the practice and the writing, the expression? Is it getting in front of people and being out there? Is it all the things, or what do you feel like is giving you the best experience out of all of it?
I love a lot about music. Gotta be honest. Sometimes I do not want to practice at all. And sometimes I don't. I'm like, I'm going to bed.
And when
Yeah.
I was in music compound, she had a really good guitar teacher that made it like a lot of fun, and she just loved that teacher. I know, like me, like trying to teach her guitar, it's just I play a lot of roles for her, but she had a friend of a person that came and really helped her see a new vision with playing guitar at the music compound. So that's what I was saying. We should look externally instead of just teaching her here at the house. We should look into other sources, look into guitar teachers, and start looking into different options.
Did you know he sends her pushback from music in general? Even though Trevor is a great musician as well and he has a lot to teach her, she didn't really want to hear it from him. But really, she started writing the songs, and I think with after COVID, anxiety and things like that crept in, and so that was one of the things that we suggested to her: just journal, get your feelings out. Maybe it'll turn into songs because she was doing that anyways. But that's where the guitar lessons came into play, because she was starting to write these songs, and she told me, I want to keep writing songs, but I want to play guitar so everything seems sounding the same, and I want to take it to the next level instead of all my songs that I'm writing the same. And that's when I found the Billy Strings interview, when we're big Billy Strings fans. He would never lie to me, so I know this has got to be legit. So I jumped into that, and then shared it with the family. And I said, if this is something you really want to take to the next level and improve your songwriting and stuff, that's where the inspiration came from. So
It was a big decision because obviously it was like a commitment. But what I was thinking in that was that if I had this program, that's a big privilege. So if I had that privilege for only a short amount of time, like the classes, obviously the curriculum for life, but just like the classes, then I'd put in the work because I'd know that I only had that for a short amount of time and we sacrificed a lot to get it. If I know that it's like something that's like a big deal, it's like a big sacrifice and I need to be using it and taking advantage of it.
Yeah, sure.
talked about how he like never really learned the correct way of playing. And so he found himself in situations where he just didn't really understand what people were talking about or doing. And so since she was so young and starting out, I thought that would be a really awesome gift to give her to just learn properly from the start. And that could be a really big gift with her on. And
Yeah, I remember hopping on the call with the three of you, and we figured out a path forward as far as getting on with Sonora, and everybody loves it when you turn up to the classes. I'm curious, how was your experience with Sonora, with the curriculum, with the classes? What do you think of all this?
The classes were like, I took notes on them every time. I tried to get the most out of it. I feel like when I get tired, I'm like, my brain's not working as well. But I'm like, Trevor's helping me trying to stay awake for these classes so I can get all that I can out of the curriculum. I'm over here doing jumping jacks, splashing water on my face, chewing mint gum at 9 o'clock at night, just trying to keep my eyes open.
I love it. I love it. That's dedication right there.
And we really didn't know going into it, is she going to be able to do this or not? She's she's an old soul and she's a smart one.
Sometimes I was nuts.
But we had confidence, but we didn't really know what going into it, if it was going to be a hit or a miss. But we really liked the concept of the curriculum that she could have for life, because even if she couldn't wrap her mind around it now, it's something that she can have for life, and she'll always know the proper techniques and stuff. So the classes and things like that, we're like, we'll just see what happens. But every time she'd come out of it, and of course, I'm not the musician, so I can't follow along like he can. But I'm like, so how was it? How much did you like get of that? She's like, I got 95% of it pretty consistently. And then it helped that she had Trevor here to bounce things off of if she wanted to, like in real time. But everyone was really kind to her in the program, really sweet.
I took so many notes on every class that my music journal overflowed. I have 100 pages front and back completely filled out from the curriculum and the classes. Oh, the level 1 and 2, the person who handles those. Kurt, he is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, Kurt is awesome. What was the biggest growth for you with your time here at Sonora?
I really think that Nora helped me build like those healthy habits. At first, I was just learning covers and practicing them over and over. I just do 5 of them or maybe 4, and I'd be like, okay, I practiced. I wasn't really practicing them. And so when I got into Sonora and I was doing all these different things and doing them for 30, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour, I was like doing all different types of things. The boxes would pop up. It would be one thing and then I'd go to a completely different thing. And I was just getting so much out of each practice, even if it was only minutes. I could review or learn 2 or 3 different topics. It was just like a variety. And like my goal was like to not have that review thing build up. And so I'm like reviewing like a couple a day, and then I'm learning a couple of new ones a day, and then maybe watching a little bit of the video from the library. It all adds up to like 45 minutes, and it's like scheduled and consistent, and it really helps me practice. It was just like a luxury to have for learning guitar.
And one thing I've really found out that's awesome about Nora is that once she does actually dive into music and get that mindset on music, it always relaxes her. It always makes her happy. She's always like way better mood after the fact than right beforehand. Another thing with Sonora, I found that she did the best when it came to the curriculum. She would be able to do those videos, be able to star them, and she got really good at that. And that's what I was actually wanting to find for her, because she's really good in school, like where they have homework and curriculum. She loves to check the boxes. So having that curriculum was probably the most powerful tool of the whole. And those live stream videos, those could go pretty quick for her but she did learn a lot of like vocab and the way like musicians talk back and forth and learning the different chords and how to find you gaining a better ear.
I know so much more about the neck of my guitar than I did when I started this. It's such a good skill to have in your toolbox to be able to just read something and then be able to perfectly play it. Not perfectly, obviously, but like better than I would be without.
Yeah,
Sonora.
like
Yeah,
gain
her-
your confidence.
Her on
for sure.
tablature has definitely gained a lot, and her on scale. It's funny because she won't know the scale names, and so once I start showing her the shape and she recognizes the shape, oh, I know this one, and it can rip through the scale.
I know like all of the scales. I know the majors and the minors and the flats and the sharps.
And it's been quite a while since we've experienced the pushback when it comes to Sonora. It was a little bit of a hurdle to get over, the consistency of practicing and structure and things like that. But once she did, it's wild that she's her age and I turn around and she's on her Zoom call and she's doing her thing and I don't even help her like log in or do anything. She's on her own and it's pretty awesome. She's like hanging out with all of her Sonora
I
friends.
would not be I'm not saying like I'm a super good musician and I know everything, but I would not be the musician that I am right now if I did not have Sonora. It was a lot of cover learning, songwriting, cover practicing, but all of that is a completely different thing than just learning songs and singing them and playing them and learning the chords and whatnot. That's like learning the scales and the arpeggios and the like fingerings to this and like the bar chords and a whole new variety of things.
We've heard a lot of people complimenting her because she's been playing on a stage now for a couple years and I've gotten a lot of compliments about how amazing her guitar playing has progressed. And I really think it's opened up a lot for her with songwriting and things like that. It's crazy because, yeah, it started with her just jumping on in between sets with Trevor, but then I felt like every time she'd get on stage, someone would want her for another thing. So we didn't really plan on it happening the way it has. It just snowballs. She got her first festival at the Florida Sand Ranch for the Florida Winter Music Festival. And I feel like every time she gets on a stage, someone wants her for the next event. So it just goes and goes. So we do have to find our balance. Like she said, we backed off this summer a little bit. And we have to find our balance between being a kid and just right now, just practicing is the most important thing. But she really loves it up on the stage and it's wild to see her. It feels like where she's supposed to be. She really loves playing music for people. So this has been such a gift for her.
I will say though, I do drop Sonora a lot when people ask me how I got started. I say Trevor, I say the music compound, and then I drop Sonora and I'm like, oh yeah, this has been like an amazing thing for me.
Awesome. I'm curious, do you have a vision for kind of like your music and what you want to do with your music, like long term, or is it just one step at a time, or do you have a vision for what you want to do?
Pretty much have the next 8 years of my life planned out.
All right.
We're gonna hop onto piano in a little bit. Obviously, I just got into middle school, so that's like a lot, like a different transition, and I have a lot to do with that.
What about
Right.
5 years from now? You're in high school, middle of high school.
I want to be able to book my own gigs and do that type of stuff for myself so I can do it for myself later. I want to be able to record my own stuff,
Albums.
have a couple of albums out, a bunch of songs that I've written. I want to be a multi-instrumentalist. That's one of my major music goals, is I want to know a lot of instruments. So right now I'm working on obviously guitar with ukulele, so I know that one too. And then the trumpet is actually heavier than you would think and it's bulky.
Awesome. That sounds like you have a vision for yourself. That's amazing. And it's just really such an inspiration. Anytime your name comes up over here at Sonora, everybody's eyes just light up. We're definitely your number one fans over here. There's no doubt about that. What is the best way for folks to find your music, to follow you, to get a hold of you so that they can book you at events and festivals?
That's a question for my mom because I do not manage that.
She has a Facebook and Instagram, Nora Bear Music. For her 10th birthday, she wanted a cell phone, but we got her a YouTube channel instead.
We're doing these Sunday sounds. where we do a little stop motion in the beginning, and then we record a cover.
People are wanting to see her stuff, and people are looking for her next show. She's already had a sold out show. They had a sold out show here. So
Well, we just
people-
recorded a video on Wednesday, her out on the pier.
Oh yeah, she jumped out
Videos.
here. Yeah, so she's all over the place, but in all the best ways.
Mhm.
And we're gonna keep it up too. I know she has the curriculum for life, but this is definitely something that we would love to jump in and out of just as it ebbs and flows, because she's really getting so much out of this. And
Yeah.
I'm glad.
So I think they're gonna take a step back a little bit and teach me how to work for it. Because all musicians have a point where they have to, it's really hard and they have to like work for what they want. And they have to work really hard. And I feel like, although I've worked, I haven't gotten that yet.
She did have a lot of opportunities with Trevor, and we like to show her a lot of the music world and how hard people work to get to where they are. And so we don't want to hand too many of her own shows. So yeah, now that she's getting a little bit more independent, we're gonna let her take when and if she wants shows and just work on the practicing now, because that's what's most important. And that's good. Practicing will be a lifelong thing, so it's good to get those good habits in.
Yeah, you are well on your way, and you keep that attitude up and just put the work in and follow your dreams, follow your passions. You will get there. You are there already. Just keep it up. That would be the only thing I could possibly say. It has been a lot of fun, and I'm sure there's nothing but good things to come. So thanks again, and we'll see you on stage.
Thank you for everything.
Yeah, you got it.